uh, my weekly talks. Today, we're talking about becoming empowered through vulnerability and self forgiveness. My name is Becky Nakamura, and I am a Master Reiki practitioner and shamanic Reiki practitioner um, through waves of key energy work. So, I'm when we look at empowerment, what emotions come up for you? Is there a feeling of strength and joy when you think of it, or is there fear surrounding that? Is there an uncomfortableness that you feel when you think of that word? Empowering ourselves can come in many forms, from taking a course to help you better understand yourself, learning how to become better prepared to create new possibilities, like the kind of relationship that you truly desire with somebody, or going after your dream job. Maybe doing something new that you may just totally bomb out at when doing it, accepting that possibility and doing it anyways. Stepping out of your comfort zone, like doing something that can be totally terrifying, like public speaking. I know for myself that was one of my big uh, hurdles, doing public speaking, because I just felt really exposed when I do it. However, with empowerment can come a deep self-confidence in your abilities and your strengths, because you are finding out that you're more capable, more flexible, maybe more adaptable, and definitely stronger than you thought you were. By allowing yourself to be vulnerable can be scary because you feel exposed. You may worry that people will make fun of you if you fail on your first attempt, or maybe even your second attempt or third. However, they're probably making fun because it's easier for them to do that than to look at themselves and their unwillingness to step outside of the box. And ridicule is a common response when when someone's feeling envious or jealous. Being vulnerable gives us the opportunity to determine who we are, who we think we are, what our boundaries are, what makes us feel comfortable and safe. Although we may use the outside world as a ruler for figuring out who we are, outside events may shift those precepts, as we have seen with the COVID-19 uh, rules and changes that have impacted our lives. This self isolation and social distancing has thrown many people into a state of anxiety and stress because their sense of identity is tied to their work or how they spend their time, their friends. And being vulnerable gives us the opportunity to become more self aware, to discover and be comfortable with the core of our being. We learn to trust that core, to be aware of and understand our strengths and our weaknesses, and learning to acknowledge and forgive those weaknesses and release them, or find ways to turn those weaknesses into strengths. We are our own anchor, and we need to acknowledge that and step more into that. Learning to forgive yourself for being human and making mistakes is a key importance as well. Stop giving yourself lectures when you mess up. Cut away from the negative self talk and instead, novel concept, praise yourself for having the courage to step out of your comfort zone and try something new. It takes courage. to do something or try something that you have never done before. Don't wait for everything to line up, and potentially that can hold you back from realizing a goal or dream. Life doesn't make any promises. So when you hold back, you may risk never realizing your goal or dream. Don't be afraid to go for it. Start by taking little steps, baby steps. Madison Taylor from Daily Om said it beautifully. She said, "What this means is that we live fully wherever we are, not hesitating because conditions are not perfect." This can be scary because we might feel that we are giving up our cherished dreams if we do not agree to wait for them. But this notion that we have to hold back our life force now in order to find happiness later doesn't really make much sense. Such beautiful words to think about and take in. Like, why do we need to wait to find our happiness? We can work on making that happen right now. I look back on pivotal events in my life, some that I did not even realize at the time how deeply they would impact me, how deeply they would settle into my soul. One that keeps returning to me is when I decided that I wanted to learn how to mountain climb. Now, to put this into context, I was born and raised on the prairies. So being able to see 180 degrees around me in every direction, looking as far as the eye could see, it was either flat or else there were gentle swells and coulees, but there were no mountains. And although I was not afraid of heights, there was always a rail or a wall between me and the edge whenever I was really high up, either in an office building or even on top of the mountain. There was always that rail there, making sure that I did not have to worry about going over the edge. I had hiked a bit in the mountains, but never actually thought of climbing one. I didn't see that. However, one day I decided that I wanted to see if I could do it. I wanted to test myself. That bit about stepping out of your comfort zone. It was a weekend course. Saturday, we spent the day learning about hand and footholds, and especially in a way scary was learning to lean back when we were climbing, not to be leaning into the mountain and hanging on for dear life, but trusting that when we lean back and have the weights pushing into the mountain, the weight of our body pushing into the mountain, that we were actually safest at that time. Sunday, we climbed a mountain called Mount Yamnuska, and that is just as we leave um, the Morley Reserve and come into the mountains. Yamnuska offers a number of different routes with varying degrees of difficulty. Now, we naturally didn't do the hardest route. We didn't do the easy ones either. We were somewhere in the middle, about a 5.7. We spent about 7 hours climbing Yamnuska that day. There were three of us plus the guide. And I remember at one point being anchored to a piton, um, looking down, sitting on a ledge, waiting for my turn to go up the next section, to climb the next section. And this ledge was only about a foot and a half, 2 feet wide. I was able to look down into the valley, and I could see a thin line going below me, weaving below me, and I knew that was a Trans-Canada Highway. And I could see a helicopter as well flying down there. It was just a rather surreal experience. and it was so peaceful sitting on that ledge. And at the crux, which is the hardest part of the climb, I had was a little intimidated, a little worried about how I would do in that stretch. I didn't want to embarrass myself by having to be hauled up. And instead, I found that I was able to climb it with grace and ease. And when I got past that, the crux, I felt a deep exhilaration well up inside of me, as well as a deep sense of calm. It was an interesting combination to feel a different combination of emotions to be feeling at that time. Getting through the toughest section, I felt an enormous amount of joy at my accomplishment. It was it was definitely life changing. When I think back to that climb, the feelings that were present that day are still there inside of me, and I am able to tap into them when I need to because I it was something that I was able to do myself, that I drew on strengths and abilities I didn't know I had. It was empowering. So what calls to you? What excites you? And if you need to take baby steps, go for it. Find something that takes you a little bit out of your comfort zone. Find something that you want to do but were afraid to because of fear of failure, or that the effort that it would require of you was too much. And once you have completed that first step into the unknown, you will have more self confidence to take bigger steps, or maybe even a leap, stretching your boundaries, testing your perceptions of who you are, your strengths and abilities. It can be a very heady, exhilarating, inspiring, empowering experience. So instead of waiting for life to meet your demands and or conditions for what is the right time that has to occur so you can follow your dream, start going for it now. If you don't commit yourself to your dream, no one else will do it for you. It's all up to you, and your time is now. Thank you. I hope that this talk today will give you food for thought and inspire you to start taking those steps to empowering yourself more, to finding where your strengths are and expanding them, growing them, um, giving yourself the opportunity to become more, to become stronger inside of yourself, and to have a deeper awareness and understanding of who you are and who you could be. Thank you.